Now, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's considering pursuing a career in acting today?
Go away. Stop. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Too many.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of A-Listers. My guest today is an actor most known from the movie and the TV show Friday Night Lights. Welcome to the show, Brad Leland.
Hey, so here we are.
We are here.
Right here in Pebble Beach. You know, I had to come off the golf course so we could do this, right? The ocean's not actually moving, so
it's just a very calm day where you're at.
Yes.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Now, if you could take me back to the start, what made you decide to be an actor? Was there a moment in time that you knew this was your calling?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny when I really look back on it. It goes way back, but you know, I really started loving to sing and dance and you know, perform. You know, when I was in junior high, I started really getting into it, but I've still had the idea that I was going to be a professional football player or some kind of athlete someday. So you know, still thinking that's the thing, but I really enjoyed performing. And then as I got older and as I realized when I got into high school and I started, you know, in the theater department and with choir and stuff, I started to realize that really this happened to me really long ago. It happened to me when I was a little bitty boy living in Japan, and we had a pet monkey out in our yard, and I was the only little American boy in the Japanese village where we lived, and every day my mom said, now I don't remember this is through my parents, but my parents were very, very young. They were 19 and 20 when I was born. So I'm in Japan with my parents. My dad was in the service, and I had this monkey that lived in the front yard, and every day I would go out and play with this monkey. And the little Japanese people would line the fence and watch this because they, first of all, never seen a little American Caucasian boy in their life. That's because I was the only one in the whole village. And then secondly, they'd never seen a little kid that had a pet monkey, which was pretty fortunate to have a pet like that so every day I would go out and play with this monkey, and the little Japanese people would just laugh, and they would come and bring more friends. And every day it was kind of a common thing for me to go out and entertain. And then of course in high school, you know, did all the plays in high school, right. Then majored in theater in college. And you know, did lots and lots of plays before I finally started my first show when I was 28. My first SAG, you know, union television show was Dallas, the original series, and was fortunate to get on that show and work with people like Larry Hagman and all those great people who were here in Dallas, and that's where I lived. You know, I grew up in Plano, so I was here. Came back here from Texas Tech in Lubbock, and that's pretty much where it came from.
Now, you're both in the Friday Night Lights movie and TV show. I'm not going to make you compare the two or anything, but how did it feel when you got that call that they said, hey, we're trying to do a TV series based around this concept? Well,
you know, the book I read way before the film, and, you know, always reading sports books. And at that time, that was probably my favorite or second favorite book. I think it came out before 12 Mighty Orphans, which later became my favorite story of all time in sports, and still is, really, to tell you the truth. But I had read Friday Night Lights, and I knew so much about Permian because having been in Lubbock so much, and I had a sister that lived in Odessa. So when I read the book, I was like, man, this is a great sports book. And then when they decided to do the picture, I was fortunate to get the role in the picture. And then we never even thought about a TV show. And so a few years later, I can't remember, it wasn't long after, I think 2 years after the picture, Peter came up with the idea of doing the TV show. So that's what we did. And, you know, I was extremely excited and very lucky that I just got to go straight from the picture pretty much right into the TV show. I don't really even think that I had to have an audition for that, which was highly unusual at the time.
You know, I grew up in a small town in Texas, and one of the things I think Friday Night Lights nailed, and you as an actor, was the character Buddy Garrity. Was that pulling more from your Texas roots, or was it more of the script, or was it just a combination of both to create that character and what he became?
Well, you know, I kind of didn't think about that at the time. I've since gone back, and during the motion picture, when we were in Odessa, there was a man there who had been a principal, and he was highly regarded in the town. He was the biggest booster in the town. He was an Aggie who had lived in Odessa his entire life, and he was a very, very special type of guy who knew everybody in the town. He knew everything about all the sports, and he was so involved and so energetic, and he was a talker, and he all the time, everywhere. And in fact, we were having dinner one night in a Mexican food place in Odessa, and his wife was there, and he was, as usual, just rambling on incessantly about everything Permian and everything Odessa and everything Texas and everything Aggie. And I just looked at his wife and I said, does he ever stop talking? And she said, no, absolutely not. I've been married to him for 43 years and he's never stopped talking yet. And so I really didn't think about it at the time, but I think Peter Berg really, he ended up having a small role in the picture. And he was so excited and so full of all the information about football and just the whole school system there, and the fact that everybody knew him. I kind of think, and strangely enough, his name was Buddy. Now I asked Pete if Buddy came from that Buddy, and he said no. He had an old college buddy up in the Northeast that's name was Buddy Garrity.
Now, I got to ask, while you were filming the show, were there any improvised moments that ever just made it to the episodes? I assume that happened quite often. Do you have any that come to mind?
Yeah, and it was more than quite often. It's all the time.
Okay.
We would get these tremendous scripts from NBC, which of course had to be passed through the studio and the execs and approval and blah, 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 and approved by the writers. And, these writing teams were incredible, and they would spend months and months writing these scripts. But Peter's idea from the very beginning, when he told us that we had a meeting right before we started the TV show, and he said, "No, these are wonderful scripts, but if it's your character, so if you feel like he would say something else, or if you want to change this, go with it, because we want it to feel as real as possible. We want the characters to come from the heart." So they gave us the freedom to do it, and so it happened all the time. I mean, you could say that some of those scripts were so well written, and they were, that we would follow them verbatim, word for word. And then sometimes we would add things, and sometimes we would, but I would say improv happened every day in every scene. And that's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but
right.
You know how Buddy exaggerates. so anyway, but we improv a lot. And I think probably Kyle and I did it more than I did it with some of the other characters, simply because we just got to be, it just became we had so many scenes together that we just sort of walked in and just tried to live in the real moment, right. Which is what we're supposed to do anyway as actors, no matter what we're doing.
Now, do you keep in touch with any of the cast and crew from the movie or the TV show from Friday Night Lights?
Oh, absolutely. We all became great friends. We were together for so long. And so I would say most of them. I mean, it's kind of funny, nearly everybody's still in the business. Now, the ones who have become such gigantic superstars are sort of untouchable. Michael B. Jordan's hard to talk to these days. He's a pretty busy guy,
right?
Probably the biggest movie star on the planet. And then, of course, Jesse Plemons is also right along with him. He's just finished the Scorsese picture, and he's gigantic now. And but I still see Kyle a lot, and we talk to each other weekly, basically, and we play golf together. He still lives in Austin. Of course, he's out working a lot, but when he's in town, we play golf, and I always talk to Connie, and I talk to Minka and Scott Porter, and I see Kitch occasionally, and like I said, Jesse Plemons, and then all of the people who are mostly living around here. Those actors are still working, although they may be all over the place. I still run into a lot of those people frequently, and when I'm in Austin, we still run into all those great people who were the background artists and who became the Dylanites, who were the town of Dillon. And I'll see them at games and out on the street, no matter where it might be, and they may be in anywhere in Texas. I could run into those people, and so I still talk to the Riggins and Yeah.
I had to wear it, you know.
Yeah. And Billy Riggins and Stacey Oristano, who played his wife.
Yep.
I mean, I could go on and on with the names, but the bottom line
You're a
is
family.
we're a tight family, and we became one because of that show.
Now, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's considering pursuing a career in acting today?
Go away. Stop. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Too many. It's too no. Seriously, I say pursue your dream if that's what you want to do. The thing most people, oh well, how do I get into movies? I want to be in a movie. Should I start? Should I go be an extra? Well, yes and no. But if you really want to be an actor, then it's not something you're born with. It's a skill. It's a craft. It's something that can be learned. Some people have more talent than others, and the talent doesn't mean being able to memorize lines. There's something about that word that's sort of all encompassing, and you find the people who get those huge roles and are able to accomplish a lot of things in front of a camera are people that are sort of talented in lots of ways. And, they can walk and talk at the same time, but they can also, chew gum, and they can throw with their right hand, and they can, run, and they can, but there's so many things involved in that. I think what I tell young people is, to do theater, to get involved with local community theater, to do it in school, to take classes, to get in front of the camera. And nowadays it's so much easier. And you see people doing it now. They're making millions of dollars on YouTube and social media, where they just get on there and create. And I think that's probably the new wave, is that you can become an actor and learn the skill, almost by yourself in front of the camera.
Now, what do you think happened to Buddy Garrity after Friday Night Lights ended? What do you think he's at? What is he doing?
Buddy is still in Dillon. Now he's not just the booster, but I mean, he's still the booster. He's but it's Buddy, and then Buddy Jr. is still there too. So I would say Buddy is probably just owns some businesses or something, and is doing what he's always done: rides around in a golf cart and comes to all the practices, goes to all the games. And then Buddy Jr., who personally I call him Bud Light.
Bud Light.
Bud Light is now the coach. Okay. So it's easier for Buddy to be more persuasive. And
his son.
It's his own son. So Bud Light is the coach, and Buddy's still around, but Buddy leaves. When it's not football season, Buddy goes on exotic trips. And is Buddy going to ever have another date, or is it Buddy going to get married again, or what's going to happen? Oh no, you must pay for your transgressions. For the rest of the series, you are single. You're alone. You were a bad buddy.
I feel like he's remarried by now. I think Buddy's remarried.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he would probably be. Or, yeah, probably.
So what about other characters? What do you think happened with like Smash and Vince? What do you think happened with their characters?
Well, obviously they became huge movie stars. Smash is a great actor and a sweet person. He became a preacher, which is actually kind of what he really did. I mean, he's still an actor, but he's also, he's a wonderful, wonderful religious man, and
I love it,
and a great leader, and just it probably in some ways he had not been a football player, and so he did a lot of learning as far as that goes, and I think that both those guys left Dillon. They probably played in college. Whether or not they went to the pros, who knows? Neither one of them were very big guys, but look at Kyler. I mean, Kyler's not a very big guy either, and there's no way he can make it in the pros. Wrong.
Well, I mean, from everything that they showed us on the show too, I mean, they kind of overcame those obstacles. People saying Smash was a smaller guy, and then he keeps doing those hurdles and so forth. So, I mean, I think anything's possible with their character. I mean, it's a show. You can make up what happened.
That's right. Yeah. It's fiction. And there was times when I would, we would get these scripts, and I would look at them, and there would be something in it, and I was like, nah, there is no way this would happen in real life in Texas high school football, or any football team, or any sport I'd ever known. Like, the time when there's that racist issue, and so all the players that week didn't go to practice, you know, and then, you know, there was all that happening and all that strife and, you know, the divide, the great divide. It was all racism and blah, blah, blah. And so they didn't practice all week. And then it was time for the bus to leave to go to the game. And all of a sudden, all those guys showed up to get on the bus. Yeah. And the coach led them. And
he would have been like, no,
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Ever, anywhere, at all. You
right.
know, not only do you not all practice all week, but, you know, you don't do that, especially to a coach like that, a team like that. And so when I saw that in the script, I was livid. I was like, we can't do this. It's so wrong. It's so untrue. It would never happen, blah, blah, blah. Brad, it's a television show. This isn't real life. And so there was a few times that would happen when I would think I was the advisor and I would tell them, no, I've been here. I played sports. I know what it's like. Blah,
right.
Blah. Yeah.
No, I can relate to that when I watch military stuff, and I'll do the same. I'll be like, he would never say that. He would never do that. And so I can totally relate to that. And then
because you were in the military or have been.
Yes. I was in the Army as a MP, military police.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Were you overseas?
Yes.
Were there a lot of bad guys that MPs had to go get?
You'd be surprised what some service members do, and they're just as bad as some regular Joes on the street with stuff. Yeah, I've been hoping and praying that there would be some sort of special reunion mini series of Friday Night Lights. Is that something, if that was pitched to you, you would be interested in doing?
I think you better hope and pray really, really hard, and get a lot of churches to pray with you, and thousands.
I'm in Texas. We can get churches to pray.
We need lots of people to pray for that, because the chances of that happening, I think, are really slim. And here's why: you got, first of all of the producers and the writers and the cast, who is now all over the place, and everybody's career's gone so sky high that people are booked out for 2 or 3 years in advance. I mean, especially all of the main characters, you know, have projects, you know, for years. And so to pull all of that together would be, it'd be almost a miracle. I think it could occur, you know, if someone could really pull a plan together right now and say, look, you know, 3 or 4 years from now, for those who are still alive, for those of you still alive, here's what we're going to try to do. I think that I think the public would certainly be there for it, and I think it could revise, but to bring back everyone that's necessary, that not just them, but the crew, the Dillon townsfolk, but to bring that whole group of that family together, that Friday Night Lights family together, would be so difficult to do. Now it's happened before with other shows. We need to bring them all back. We'll just do the Buddy Garrity show with Buddy and Buddy Jr. and call it Buddy and Bud Light or something.
And then you can have guest appearances every now and then by the original people from the show.
Right.
I like it.
I did pitch that at one point, you know, where we could start it with that, and then people could come in and they could get the flavor back. You know, it wouldn't be the same, but then we could just, you know, sort of bring them in one at a time here and there. And
I would be here for that. And you know, things like that have happened. I know you said it's a lot of pieces, so I think it's just I'm going to get all the churches to pray. We're gonna try all of them.
That's right. Every church, every football team, and you know, even every athletic team. Because it'd be funny. One time I was in Austin, and I was standing in the lobby of this hotel, and there was a traveling basketball team that came in from somewhere far away, and they were coming to play. And I was in the lobby, and this basketball team got off the bus and walked in the lobby, and I was standing there, and all of a sudden, all these basketball players just started freaking out that Buddy Garrity was standing there. And the reason is because on their bus ride, which had been really long, they've been watching the series. So they were watching it on the bus, and then they walked in, and I was standing there, and it, you know, so it crosses over into all sports, of course.
Now, this last bit I have for you are going to be my rapid fire questions. Favorite movie?
Clockwork Orange.
Favorite TV show?
Boy, that's even harder. I should say Friday Night Lights, shouldn't I?
You can.
Favorite TV show? You know what really I've really loved recently was Ozark.
Oh, that show's so good.
Favorite TV show of all time.
So
I will admit something that most people, I shouldn't admit this really to the world, but I'm going to. One of the, I think, people's favorite TV show in the entire world, across the board might be Seinfeld. And do you know that I've never watched an episode of? I'm admitting that to the world.
Yeah, to the world.
I don't know why. I love her. I mean, Julia. I've been deep with Julia. I love those people.
Yeah. What's some of the most fun you've ever had on a set?
A toughie. One fun thing was we had a scene that was cut from FNL, and it was the coaches and Buddy in a hotel room, and we were playing cards before a game, and the coach was there, and then he left the room, and the scene sort of ended there in the show that was aired. But what actually happened was that scene we continued to shoot throughout the evening, and there were some coaches there and Buddy, and we sort of turned that into a free-for-all because we were supposed to have been drinking and we were playing cards and it got crazy, and we actually started having a football game in the hotel room with pillows, and we were throwing pillows across the room and making diving catches onto the bed.
Oh my
and
God.
Knocking over the furniture and tackling each other into the chairs, and it became hilarious because we were having so much fun and they were shooting it, and we just thought this is going to be the best scene in the whole show, where the coaches and Buddy are in there just busting it up, and we tore that hotel room to smithereens. It's not like we purposefully broke chairs or anything like that, but it was a mess, and beer cans and chips flying and cards, and we did that and shot it for hours and just kept shooting it improv of us playing football. And one of the big football player coaches who had been a real player, and it was a big guy, 20 years younger than he and I were sort of head up on each other. And at one point I just planted him in the bed, and his eyes got this big, and he looked up at me and he goes, "Man, you can hit." And I was like, yeah, that was fun. And nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
And we even took the scene into the next morning. And the next morning, of course, we're all laying around on the beds and we're all hungover and the room is destroyed. And I'm laying there and it's very quiet. And they're shooting the scene of the aftermath of this football game with pillows that we played. And, it's very quiet. And all of a sudden, from Buddy's little squatted, curled up position in this big easy chair, you hear, we all cracked up, and they thought it was real, and I kept doing it, and we thought this is going to be the coolest scene in the whole show.
Now, you being from Texas, Whataburger, yes, no?
Whataburger, yes.
What's your go-to meal from Whataburger?
Double meat Whataburger with everything on it, and mayonnaise instead of mustard.
What's the coolest thing you've gotten to keep from a film or any set you were ever part of?
Well, I got the championship ring from Friday.
You got to keep it?
Yeah, I got that ring. And tons of other swag. I mean, that's about the time that Under Armour came around. And we were one of their first sponsors and one of their first branding sort of out there for everybody to see. And so Under Armour gave us a lot of cool stuff, everything from hoodies, pants.
What's one of your biggest pet peeves?
Living in Dallas, of course, you have the most aggressive and horrible and selfish and fast drivers in the world. I don't like them. And I don't like the drivers who are also so slow in the left-hand lane that they won't let you get by. Here's one. People never look where they walk right in front of cars, walk out in the street, walk.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's face is buried in their phone, and they don't look at anything around them. They don't realize they're about to be hit by a car.
Who do you think would have won the state game if it was the Panthers that won in season 1 going against East Dillon that won in season 5? How do you think that game would have gone?
Well, it would have gone it'd be tough because you'd be watching the coach run from one sideline to back and forth across the field. Right. I don't think Kyle could have run that much to coach from both sides. That's a really good question. I tell you, Voodoo, if we'd had Voodoo, if he'd have stayed around and been a cool guy, Voodoo would probably have been the best one because he is actually a huge guy and a great athlete. In fact, I saw him on another picture a few years later, and what a sweetheart, just a wonderful, wonderful actor. And now he's hugely famous as well and is on a great show with Kevin Bacon called City of Lights.
And I believe he's going to be with The Rock playing Hawkman and Black Adam coming up this next year, which huge.
I think, I'm going to have to go with this because this is what Buddy always went with, and that is Once a Panther,
Always the Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's tough, but like I try to think like, you know, Saracen wasn't as good of a quarterback as Vince, but then you got Smash and you got all these other you know, Riggins. That's a lot of other factors in there. So that'd been a good one.
And I don't know about the coaching thing.
Yeah.
Coaches matter a lot, so I don't know how we're going to pull that one off.
Yeah.
You know, there's not another.
There's a coin flip for which team he's going to coach, and then backup coach.
And then Buddy will coach the other one.
There you go.
Which means that whichever team Kyle is coaching wins.
Now, if you could add one person to Mount Rushmore, who would it be and why? It does not have to be a president.
Let's just have it be someone that no one knows. No, I mean, maybe it could just be a neutral face that no one knew who it was. I think that would be cool.
Okay.
Just put a face up there and say, who is that? And have everyone always say, who is that? And say, well, it's someone more important than those other three. It's the most important person of all time.
On the plaque, you say, you know, you start writing it, but you have it purposely skewed so nobody can ever read the name.
Right. And then in the future, they'll go, who was that? I don't know, but he must have been important.
What is one job that you would be terrible at?
Anything to do with accounting, math, engineering, chemistry, pretty much anything that requires a brain and analytical thinking, critical thinking, adding numbers, chemistry, botany, medicine.
How do you like your steak cooked?
A medium rare.
What is a piece of advice you wish you could have told yourself as a kid?
Don't talk so much. Listen. Be more disciplined. And don't eat so much candy.
What is one of your favorite memories? I
grew up in a time of probably the greatest time in history. I mean, our generation came, when this country was rebuilding and everyone believed in family and unity and making things better, and the technology that's occurred in my lifetime is overwhelming. The fact that we went from the 60s to those problems in the 50s I was born, and then where we've come in such a short period of time. Where we've come in my 67 years is the greatest advancement of mankind in all time, and I've lived in it. So I think that having lived in this time is a blessing.
Because that is the last question I have for you. I will have everything for you linked in the description. But what is next for you, Brad? What's next?
Oh, well, I've got 2 HBO series right now, which is exciting. I did, you'll probably know this game. It came from a game, which millions of people know. It's called The Last of Us. Do you know that?
Yes, of course.
Okay, well, The Last of Us is now a new HBO series, and they're saying it's probably going to be the most expensive one ever made. So I've been in Canada shooting that, and it does follow the game, an HBO series, and it's a 10-part series. The first year, they plan on doing more. Yeah. And then I'm doing another series, which I start next week, which is a true story of something that happened right here in this county back in 1980. It was a brutal axe murdering. And believe it or not, I'm going to be back with Jesse Plemons. He plays the lead.
Really?
So I'll be working with Jesse and a lot of the Friday Night Lights crew down in Austin on this series from now until April. And then I just got a new little feature, an independent feature with my old friend Thomas Hayden Church, which it's not solid yet, so probably, but I think it will be. And so that's just happened in the last 24 hours. So for the next nearly a year, we're back to work, and and hopefully passing through the COVID time. And of course, everybody was pretty much shut down during COVID. Except where they could sequester in Yellowstone. They just all lived there for months, and so they could shoot during COVID because of that. But pretty much everything else has been shut down, so it's nice to be back to work, and projects are just coming as fast as we can make them. And of course, that's because we've got so much need for programming. It's when you got 70 million networks, you got to have a lot of shows. So it's fun and it's good. And as long as I can remember my lines and walk and talk, I'm going to keep doing it. You don't retire from this. It's too much fun.